Ladies and gentlemen, aloha. Early this morning, I traveled to Pearl Harbor to board the old battleship Missouri to observe an important anniversary, the 65th anniversary of the signing of the surrender paper by the Imperial Forces of Japan to mark the end of World War II, September 2nd, 1945. That war, World War II, caused the death of nearly 60 million people on this globe. In the United States, over 1 million men and women were either injured, wounded, or killed. Millions of families were impacted. I need not point out to those who have put on the uniform that war is not a pretty picture. Today we gather to observe the 15th anniversary of this center. I still recall that day 15 years ago when, together with Admiral Blair, who was SINCPAC, and Bill Perry, who was the former Secretary of Defense, to establish this organization. We should keep in mind that 15 years ago, the world was a bit different. There were many countries in the Asia-Pacific area. And World War II, Vietnam, Korea, the Cold War, just heightened their hatred for each other in some cases. And the tensions were great. Suspicious nature was commonplace. Well, 7 out of the 10 largest armies are in this area. And imagine if any one of them decided to flex their muscles and do some harm on some age-old, centuries-old enemy. These are realities. And so several of us got together and said it's about time we establish a center where leaders, military, diplomatic, and others can get together, sit around, chat, yes, argue, and discuss matters of common interest, common concerns, disasters, and come up with solutions, and come up with mutual understandings. I recall at that time, I made a statement saying, many of the nations are poised to destroy each other. And that was reality at that moment. Well, much has happened since then. And I'm certain you recall some of the critics who told us this was an impossible task. How can you get people who just hate the looks of the other guy sit down at the same table and discuss peace? I said, you'd be surprised. Well, during the first year, 40 nations sent participants to take part in the functions, the studies. And today, 15 years later, we have provided resident courses to more than 5,000 participants. And as the General pointed out, many of these are now leaders of their nations with some warm feeling when it comes to their former enemies. That's quite an achievement. We've also had over 7,800 people from 77 countries taking part in conferences and workshops. Yes, and the center works closely, obviously, with the Defense Department with the State Department, with the embassies abroad. What is the result? We're not a large organization here, but I would like to believe that in a small way, this center played an important role in preventing warfare in this area. Just think about it. We haven't had a war here. Yes, if we had centers like this all over the world, something good could have happened. But the fact that history shows we've been able to sit down, talk, come up with mutual understandings, come up with solutions. It's not a big deal, but it's the right step towards the right goal. We come here also to welcome someone I've known for many years. Her father was in charge of my office. He was an infantry colonel, Colonel Peters. Now his daughter is a retired ambassador, Ambassador Moriarty. I used to know her when she was a bit younger, before her name was Moriarty. But I welcome you here. I think it's good to have an ambassador also helping a general. I don't know who's going to be the boss, but in Washington, at this moment, the general seems to be the boss. But as the president announced, we're leaving Afghanistan and Iraq. And then when we do, the department in charge will be the State Department. So that's your hunting ground. Welcome aboard, Laura. And I want to thank all of you for inviting me. And I want to tell you how proud I am of what you've done. You have done much more than most of us anticipated. We thought we'd start off in a small way, but as the years passed by, I was impressed to see that a certain graduate becomes a Minister of Defense. Another one becomes Minister of the Interior Affairs. Yes, they are the policymakers. So to all of you, Godspeed and God bless America.
Thank you, Senator Inouye. I can assure you, sir, that this is a team down here. I can assure you that I often feel like I'm not in charge. And that's okay, because it takes a lot of people to get it right. Thanks for your special advocacy of APCSS over the years. I know I join all former members of this great institution, from those who founded it to those who are honored to serve here today, to thank you for your devotion to our center and to what's good about the United States of America. You've always led from the front, and you've guided all of those around you in truly valuable pursuits, including this one. My next honor is to follow up on something Senator Inouye just alluded to, and that's to introduce a tremendously talented leader who just joined our team last month and is already making it stronger as our academic dean, Ambassador Lauren Moriarty. Let me tell you why we hired her. Simple. She's a genuinely talented leader, a caring leader, a scholar, and a role model. She's accomplished in her field, highly experienced, widely sought for advice